This time on the hit list, we pay tribute to some of pop music's most successful girl and boy bands. Formed in 1999, British girl group Atomic Kitten weren't exactly an overnight sensation. Although their debut single Right Now made it into the top 10, their album of the same name enjoyed only moderate success, and their label, Innocent Records, allegedly considered dropping the trio from Liverpool, who pleaded to be given another chance. In 2001, they recorded the single Whole Again, which was to deliver their first UK #1 and save them from the guillotine. From there, Liz McClarnon, Natasha Hamilton and new recruit Jenny Frost were on their way. Their next single, a cover of the Bangles' 1989 hit Eternal Flame, also went to #1. Right Now was re-released and went straight to the top of the charts. Their cover of The Tide Is High from Feels So Good also went to #1 and set up their assault on America.
So we're definitely going to be going over there next year for a few months to have a real go at cracking the market. And if we do it, wicked. And if we don't, no, at least we can say we've tried. But we're not going to be defeatist and say, oh, it's so hard over there. We're just going to go over there and give it our all. You know, we've got great music. We're 10 nice people. So, you know, we're just going to have a go, and if they like us, then they might just totally not get us.
In fact, they didn't. Although The Tide Is High featured in the Lizzie McGuire movie, the album peaked at #102 on the Billboard 200. But that didn't stop the girls from keeping up with their punishing schedule of concerts and promotional duties.
What people don't understand is that, you know, everyone thought we had 6 months off to record an album, and everyone's like, why are you tired if you've had 6 months off to record an album? We so never. We went to America, we went to Asia, we did a tour in South Africa, we've been planning our arena tour in Britain. We are and recording the album.
2 weeks off this year, which was in summer.
And we're knackered.
And then 2 weeks off I went to Ibiza, so there wasn't really a holiday.
Featuring the power ballad If You Come to Me, the Kittens were clearly sticking to their pop roots.
A lot of other bands on their third or fourth album come out and go, we've decided we're not going to be pop anymore, we're going to be really cool and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And we said, we're not going to do that because we like doing what we do. Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
In the end, however, their grueling schedule proved to be a bit much for Natasha, who needed time out to look after her baby son. But while there have been no more albums, the girls have been keeping their hands in with plenty of charity concerts and one-off singles. The Backstreet Boys were brought together in 1992 via a series of auditions set up by disgraced boy band mogul Lou Pearlman, who has since been exposed for spending $3.5 million of fraudulently acquired funds to launch the band. The final lineup of AJ McLean, Howie Durrer, Nick Carter, Kevin Richardson and Brian Littrell performed their first concert to 3,000 teenagers at SeaWorld in Florida, and have gone on to sell over 100 million albums, making them the biggest selling boy band of all time. The Backstreets can also lay claim to possessing more stamina than most of their contemporaries. Despite their 2-year hiatus caused by legal problems and the release of Nick Carter's solo effort Now or Never in 2002, the Backstreet Boys bounced back with Never Gone in June 2005. It debuted at #3 on the Billboard 200. And despite the increasing prominence of hip-hop, Nick was confident there was still a place for more family-friendly pop.
I believe in music comes in cycles. I don't think we're going to change to fit any type of music. We're going to stay on our own plane. We're going to stay straightforward, just the way we've always done. We try to be trendsetters with our music and just be true to ourselves and just have great melodies and great songs. You know, we don't really care what music's out there. Actually, we kind of went against the tide this time.
With some members now pushing 30, they proved they could still pull impressive crowds when their world tour hit Thailand. Just 2 years later, they were back with their 7th studio album, Unbreakable. This time, however, they had to do it all without the oldest member of the band, Kevin.
Kevin wanted to take a break, actually. He came to us the end of the Never Gone tour and had already made a decision about moving forward in his life in a different direction. So we gave him our blessing, and he gave us his blessing in continuing to make music.
However, unlike certain other bands, they weren't about to jump into a high-profile search for Kevin's replacement.
Kevin will always be a Backstreet Boy, and the door's always open for him to come back.
And according to AJ, 14 years after starting out, they were still feeling inspired.
I mean, it was fun again, getting back in there, the four of us, just doing what we love to do, you know, writing, singing, we're playing video games, playing lots of Guitar Hero, having fun. I mean, that's what it's about. Making music's about having fun and doing something that we're passionate about and something that we love. We're very excited to see you guys.
Although some reviewers criticised the drastic change in their direction, which saw them incorporate more acoustic numbers and play their own instruments, Howie explained that keeping things fresh is what keeps the Backstreet Boys together.
That's what's kept us strong, is that we've talked about it. And that's why we've always said, you know what, hey, if you're feeling something different at the time, let's talk about it. Let's, you know, obviously we want to keep Backstreet Boys first and always be our priority, but it's allowed us to have the room to do a lot of stuff outside of the group.
In 2007, the Guinness World Records listed them as the most successful reality TV group in history, thanks to their feat of stringing together 20 consecutive UK top 10 singles, which have included 4 number ones. Girls Aloud were put together on the ITV1 talent show Popstars The Rivals in 2002 and made the history books later in the year for the shortest time between forming as a band and landing their first number one with The Sound of the Underground. By May 2009, after more than 6 years of continued success that had spawned hits like The Show, Jump and Something Kinda Ooh, Cheryl Cole, Nadine Coyle, Sarah Harding and Nicola Roberts were reportedly worth a fortune of around £25 million. They realised it was time to start giving back and decided to design their own range of T-shirts for the UK-based charity Make-A-Wish Foundation, which grants wishes to young people fighting life-threatening diseases.
You know, basically we just started from scratch, and it was a bit like, you know, what do we go with, what do we need it to look like and all the rest of it. But when we actually came up with our ideas, everybody got really excited about it, and you know, it's like everyone has a really different individual design.
Cheryl, who's married to English footballer Ashley Cole, decided to pay homage to her hometown with her design.
Well, I know my design is of a magpie, and basically a magpie is the official bird for Newcastle. So there was quite a lot of homeliness to my design, and the fact that magpies love things that glitter and I love things that glitter, kind of, that's where the combination came from.
While Sarah went for something more retro.
My design was kind of based on a bit more punk or sort of Sex Pistols-esque kind of thing, and it was based on an artist called Jamie Reed who did a lot of stuff kind of like this.
Kimberly, on the other hand, wanted to give her T-shirt a community feel.
What I love about England, and especially living in London, is how kind of multicultural it is and stuff. So I've just got a little bit of graffiti that says diversity, and then I've got the crown, obviously, to represent the Queen.
Finally, in 2009, after years of being nominated for Brit Awards, they were invited to perform at the ceremony. Their song Promise ended up winning the Brit for Best Single. Aside from their music, the group has held the public's attention through their high-profile love affairs. While Cheryl's marriage to Ashley continues to fascinate the paparazzi, Nadine has generated her own share of gossip through her relationship with actor Jesse Metcalfe. Sarah has also generated interest with her rumoured romance with actor Stephen Dorff. The story of Destiny's Child goes all the way back to 1990, when 9-year-old Beyoncé Knowles and Kelly Rowland began their bid for fame under the name Girls' Tyme. Along with Latavia Robertson and LaToya Luckett, they became Destiny's Child in 1997. And after 8 years and a lineup change that saw Michelle Williams replace Latavia and LaToya, they'd become the biggest-selling girl group of all time. Their singles No No No, Say My Name, Bootylicious, Survivor and Independent Woman made them household names throughout the world. and by 2005 they'd achieved all they could possibly have dreamed of as a group. During their world tour to promote their fourth album, Destiny Fulfilled, they decided it was time to call it a day.
We're happy, you know, and we made history. We did something that, you know, has not been done amongst a female group, you know, and there was press about it, but not as much as there was about the statement that we just made. And even in that statement, there was love in that statement.
Meanwhile, Beyoncé was quick to emphasize that this was no sad farewell, sparked by irreconcilable differences.
And it was really important for us to end this chapter when we were successful still. And not because one person wants to go solo, or not because we don't like each other, or because we're not selling records anymore, but because it has to end at a certain point, and we all have different personal things we want to do and things with our careers that we want to do. But it's really important that we maintain our friendship and we still support each other. And that's something that's going to happen because this is real and we really are truly friends. Is beyond the music.
Her childhood friend Kelly took it one step further.
It's like a marriage. You know how you need communication? You need love and loyalty and trust. What else, ladies?
It's very few times that, you know, you find that perfect person. That's really rare. So it's not easy, and it isn't like one thing that you can say. It just has to be natural.
Right.
And we don't have to force our friendship.
Right.
We just really enjoy each other, and it was always natural for us.
To prove the point, they were standing side by side again the following year to unveil their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
And we just want to say we love you guys so much. Thank you for supporting Destiny's Child since day one. I actually remember when we made a trip here and we were going up those escalators and we were walking down the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and we were like, we want a star, and to be here, y'all, is so humbling, and we are so honored. And we want to thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts. We love you so, so much.
Obviously, this just goes to show all you have to do is say it. Say it in the air, tell God what it is that you want, and He gives it to you. So that is just amazing. If it's in His will, He does.
When the Beach Boys formed in 1961, the term boy band hadn't even been invented. But without doubt, the Californian group's focus on upfront vocals and tight harmonies provided the inspiration for many all-singing groups in the boy band heyday of the 80s and 90s. Originally called the Pendletones, the story goes that a record company junior decided to change the name on their debut single Surfin' to align them more closely with other surf bands. With no money left in the budget, the labels could not be reprinted. Joined by Mike Love, Al Jardine and his two younger brothers, Dennis and Carl, Brian Wilson emerged as the visionary genius of the group, producing their defining album Pet Sounds in 1966, which spawned all-time classics Wouldn't It Be Nice, God Only Knows, Don't Talk and the Beach Boys' cover of Sloop John B. Pet Sounds has since been declared one of the greatest albums of all time by the likes of Time, Rolling Stone, NME, Mojo and The Times. In 2007, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame placed the album at number 9 on its definitive 200 list. Now in his 60s, Brian wasn't sure the album had resonated so profoundly with audiences.
I don't know. I think because it's artistic and beautiful. I don't know.
Well, Brian, it's so understated. Brian's created a masterpiece, obviously, and it came straight from God through Brian Wilson, and it's got the kinds of music that people can turn off the lights and listen to and remember forever.
But Brian, whose famous battles with drugs and mental illness kept him from going on tour with the group, wasn't convinced.
It is definitive. It's not the only album. Beach Boys Love You was just as good.
Oh, I do too. I love Beach Boys.
The Beach Boys Love You and 15 Big Ones are just as good.
And that stuff is going to come out eventually because it's part of that merger of the catalogs together. So those are things that people haven't heard before.
One part of the Brian Wilson catalogue that fans had to wait 38 years to hear was the album Smile. He began work on it back in 1966 with lyricist Van Dyke Perks, when the rest of the band were out on tour. However, Brian's apprehension and objections from the group about Smile's impressionistic content led him to shelving the project. Smile finally saw the light of day in 2004, and anchored by 3 classic Brian Wilson songs, Heroes and Villains, Surf's Up and Good Vibrations, it was instantly declared a masterpiece by critics. And Brian was pretty pleased with himself.
Well, I think it's an important contribution because it's melodically and lyrically very advanced and very good music, very, very good special music.
He was rewarded with his first solo Grammy Award for Best Rock Instrumental Performance on the track Mrs. O'Leary's Cow. The Pussycat Dolls were born in a tiny dance studio in the LA garage of actress Christina Applegate, with whom the band's originator Robin Antin shared an apartment in the early 90s. Robin had appeared in commercials and did choreography for music videos for the likes of Smash Mouth, The Offspring and No Doubt. When she invited over a few girlfriends who were also tour and music video dancers, they began to play around with her choreography, and the Pussycat Dolls were formed.
That's what's cool about this group, though, is it kind of came together organically instead of being, auditioned and picked. And so cookie cutter, we kind of come in at different times and for different reasons, and now we're together.
Meanwhile, Christina Applegate suggested they perform at the Sunset Strip's renowned Viper Room. Owner Johnny Depp saw them rehearse and reportedly said, "This is why I opened a club." The Pussycat Dolls, who have seen many members in their evolving lineup since debuting in 1995, became the Thursday night opening act for the next 6 years. A turning point came in 2000, when No Doubt's Gwen Stefani came to a show and said she'd love to do a guest spot, not just to dance but to sing. So did Christina Aguilera, and in 2002 it was time to take the show to a bigger venue. And so the Pussycat Dolls moved to the Roxy. For 2 shows a week for 7 weeks, the place was sold out. Other guest performers included Brittany Murphy, Charlize Theron, Paris Hilton and Pamela Anderson. All of them appeared without pay, just for the fun of it. That same year, Robin Antin joined forces with the chairman of Interscope Geffen A&M, who in turn brought in A&M president Ron Fair to executive produce the project and help take the concept to a higher level. There We Went As Far As We Felt Like Going was heard in 2004's Shark Tale. Their cover of the standard Sway was heard in 2004's Shall We Dance. So by the time they released their debut album PCD as a 6-piece in late 2005, they'd already put in plenty of hard yards. Their singles Don't Ya, Buttons and Stick With You established them as much more than a novelty act, and the wide diversity of their cultural backgrounds helped fuel their international success.
We're not the typical looking girl group. We're like a melting pot of different ethnicities. I'm Hawaiian, Russian, Filipino. I mean, Carmita's
Dutch, Indonesian, Chinese, and Israeli.
That's what she is.
I had to remember for a second. I'm like, oh.
Well, we all bring something different to the table, and we have a lot of culture that we bring from our backgrounds too, with our music and our dancing.
Yeah, that definitely adds to our music.
And we're all from different parts of the United States too.
Since then, the overtly sexual all-girl act have extended their reach with a Pussycat Dolls line of makeup, a Pussycat Dolls lounge inside Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, and the launch of a line of skimpy lingerie. In 2009, Irish boy band Westlife were only narrowly beaten by the Beatles in a poll to determine the biggest musical band ever in the UK. They can also claim the honour of being the first act in British history to have 4 #1 singles in a year. They were formed in 1998 by pop supremo Simon Cowell, and in the space of 10 years went on to collect 14 UK #1s to be declared Ireland's 9th richest celebrities under 30. Just 4 years after forming in 2002, Nicky Byrne, Kian Egan, Brian McFadden, Mark Feely and Shane Phelan had scored enough hits to warrant the release of a greatest hits album. And up until 2007, the famously prolific outfit were launching a new album every year.
Every year, obviously, we try to have an original album, but, you know, if the material isn't there or you've only got, say, 5 or 6 decent songs that you would do for a pop album, then you need to look somewhere else, you know. And we don't have the luxury of being, you know, we don't write our own music, so, and we don't have the luxury of a pop band that we can sit back and have 2 years, 3, 4 years off and wait for the next album to come, you know. So every year it's like, you know, sit down and kind of, it's like a master plan, like what we do next.
The yearly releases needed to be backed up with annual tours, which kept the boys out on the road. In 2005, they were happy to be taking a well-earned 4-month break.
What we were able to do is unpack our suitcases in our house and just like literally put it there and hang clothes up and actually, you know, every morning go into your wardrobe and actually go, okay, what am I going to wear today? Rather than living out of a suitcase constantly, which we've been doing for 7 years. And also, like, we did some different things, like, you know, some people took up some different hobbies, you know, got involved in different things, even at home. You were able to see, you know, friends on a regular basis, family on a regular basis, and things like that, you know, and everybody's life is important.
With Brian McFadden now pursuing his own solo career, they were down to a 4-piece. But rumours of an impending split proved to be greatly exaggerated. After following up 2006's The Love album with Back Home in 2007, they prepared to celebrate their 10th anniversary with a sold-out concert at Europe's 4th biggest stadium, Croke Park, on the 1st of June 2008. In 2007, upon the release of About You Now, Sugababes became the first female act to top the UK singles, album and download charts simultaneously for a second time. They first achieved the feat with their 2005 release Taller in More Ways and its lead single Push the Button. The continued success of the British trio is all the more remarkable, given the 2 significant lineup changes, the first of which came in 2001 when Heidi Range replaced Siobhan Donaghy. Then in 2005, Mucha Wanya left to spend time with her family, and her spot was filled by Amel.
We didn't know when Muthia would leave, but we kind of had a feeling that she probably would do at some point, because we could tell she was unhappy. So when she said she wanted to leave, then we just said, OK, let's get someone else. And we found Amel.
Yes.
The 21-year-old singer was thrown in at the deep end, performing vocals on the re-release of Taller in Most Ways and going straight out on tour with Heidi and Keisha.
I thought it was a bit daunting at the beginning of it, but because everyone's been so accepting and we get along really well, you know, we've done a few gigs now, we've been travelling together and everything like that. It's just all falling into place. So I feel really comfortable and really happy to be doing something I love doing. So no, it's all good.
And after some initial reservations, the fans adjusted to the new addition.
Well, I didn't like Amel at first as well, because obviously it's like she's replacing Mia. But then, like, when she started singing and everything, then it was like, oh, I like this girl. And she's like, she brings something new to the band as well.
She's come off the street and she's never been in something as big as this before. And for her to come into a band as big as the Sugababes, hands up to her, because, I mean, how was she going to know if the fans were going to like her or not? And with Keisha and Heidi as well, for them to continue with the band after Mitchell left, I think that's good enough.
The following year, Amel solidified her place in the lineup by accompanying the Babes on their Greatest Hits tour. And in late 2007, the Sugababes released their first full album featuring Amel on vocals. Change went straight to #1 on the UK charts, paving the way for their 2008 album, Catfights and Spotlights.